we still got the super fight to come. Shamrock and Severn. He is from Coldwater, Michigan. Let's listen to the reception. Over 70 national, international, state, and Pan American titles. He coached the Michigan Wrestling Club. He coached college wrestling for 8 years. 25 years of amateur experience in everything from wrestling to judo to sambo to kickboxing to the tough man. He fought in Cuba on a dirt floor. The Beast, Dan Severn. He has transcended wrestling to a new dimension.
Well, Dan said he's up to power for this, so he feels he has to be a little more cautious, definitely more patient. He's a master grappler. He's probably the best grappler we have here. His finishes have been the most suspect, and he's learned how to do that on the ground by using strikes and a few finishing holds.
The Beast, Dan Severn. Let's get his thoughts coming into this super fight tonight.
I'm at rest and at peace, but later this evening it'll be time to release the beast.
And here comes the UFC Superfight champion from Lockford, California. A chorus of boos and cheers. And he looks ready. The Japanese pancrase shoot fighting champion, the former king of pancrase. 13-2 in Pancrase Association fights. 10-1 in Fujiwara Gama fights.
Ken Shamrock has been with the UFC since the beginning, but even before that, he was a shoot fighter. He is a master at submissions. He can stand and fight. He's a heavy hitter on the ground, and he's well conditioned.
He's managed by Bob Shamrock, trained by Masa Funaki. Here's Kenny.
I'm here in Detroit, Michigan to defend my World Superfight title, and I will defend it. I'd like to say hi to my sons, Ryan, Connor, and Sean. I love you guys. I'll see you back home.
He's lost only once to Hoist Gracie. He drew a Taktarov and Gracie. The scene is set. Here's the G-Man, Rich Goins.
Ladies and gentlemen, SEG Sports Corporation presenting UFC 9 and the bout you've been waiting for, the Clash of the Titans. Introducing, first to my left, a man with over 85 national and international titles in Sambo, Greco-Roman, and freestyle wrestling. UFC 5 Ultimate Fighting Champion, Ultimate Champion, 37 years old, 6'2", 247 pounds, from Coldwater, Michigan. The Beast is back. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Severn. And his opponent in the Clash of the Titans, representing the art of shoot fighting from Lockford, California, undefeated in UFC Super Fight competition, 32 years old, 215 pounds, the master of the octagon, Ken "The Rock" Shamrock. Shamrock.
24-minute time limit with 2 3-minute overtimes. 30 possible minutes. Shamrock and Severn. Rematch of UFC 6. Shamrock won with a guillotine choke in 2 minutes and 15 seconds in that bout. Here's a look at the tail of the tape. Shoot fighting, Greco-Roman wrestling. Severn is 5 years older. He says his window of opportunity is waning. Severn at 247, Shamrock at a robust, solid 215. Here we go. John McCarthy will start it up.
I think we're looking at the two best fighters in the UFC currently. Gracie's the only other one who's got their kind of records.
The last time they stayed on their feet the whole time, and Shamrock choked them out. Severn has told us he wants to get to the mat.
Severn doing a lot of moving. I think Shamrock likes this. He's looking at a big guy, moving around a lot, spending some energy.
Shamrock said he'll be very patient. There's not a lot of love lost between these two guys. Severn said that Shamrock dissed him in the post-fight interview at UFC 6.
I think they both have a lot of class. What was said after a bout, I didn't quite really believe that Severn, dislikes Shamrock. I think he was more disappointed with his performance.
And again, it's like a chess match. Neither one wants to be the pawn. Both want to be the king of the super fight.
I don't know what Dan is doing unless he's just trying to draw Ken out to shoot for him. Because just moving around the ring without throwing strikes at all, I mean, he's not opening anything up.
It's all movement, no strikes thus far. Like some form of kata.
Well, neither of the fighters can kick because they've got the shoes on. So it's going to have to be punches of some kind.
And notice Severn is circling to the right. That's away from the power hand of Shamrock, the right hand.
And again, they're slapping again because these guys know they need their hands for this match. They don't want to break a knuckle early.
Neither one wants to make a mistake. And coming off a ferocious last bout, which was filled with punches, this one has started very uneventfully.
This is very cautious. I agree with Don. Severn must be trying something there.
I think he's trying to draw Ken to come at him.
I think Dan ought to stop moving. That's the best way to draw somebody to you. If you're moving, it's hard to come at you.
Shamrock trying to land a right hand.
Well, if they do this kind of slap fighting, I kind of think Shamrock's going to win because these are the rules of the pancrase. They're allowed to strike open-handed standing up. And so Ken is used to this.
And even referee John McCarthy is becoming impatient. 3 minutes in. Fans don't know what to do. These are the two best fighters maybe right now in the UFC. And neither one willing to take a shot.
Those are the first steps forward that Ken's really taken. Severn's been mainly circling, not really moving forward, but circling, and every now and then just kind of feigning in and out.
Dragon, can Severn fatigue himself?
Yeah, this takes more energy. Obviously, it takes more energy to cover all the distance that he's going right now, because all Ken is doing is turning, pivoting, whereas Severn is using probably 3 times the energy to be dancing around like that.
Severn must really believe in his shape at this point.
I think the audience wants him to get it on.
Still nothing happening except mental games.
I think who's going to lose their composure and hear the crowd booing and have that pride of saying, hey, I'm a fighter. And you got to keep your strategies, maintain your poise, don't break the game plan unless you're forced to.
And the longer you go like this, guys, I think the harder it is to engage. Because you become more cautious. It's a very long fight as far as time is concerned.
30 minutes if you include the 2 overtimes.
Right. That's like a 10-round fight in boxing. You can't dance for 10 rounds.
And it's continuous. You don't get the minute breaks.
Right. Very good point.
Severn's mouth is still basically closed. Doesn't look like he's really sucking wind in any way.
Neither fighter wants to come out of his game plan, whatever that is. Maybe it's to make the other guy shoot. Nobody's trying to get to the mat. And these are two grapplers.
Jeff, is this approach more of an approach not to lose rather than to try to win?
Well, I'll say this. I'm sure Shamrock didn't expect to see a big guy like Severn bouncing around on his toes out in front of him, feigning and jabbing and moving. I think he probably expected the big bull rush.
Shamrock landed a pretty stiff right palm on the face of Severn.
Severn is working a very good sweat, and Shamrock is still relatively dry. So it's taking a lot out of Severn.
Just slowing down a little bit.
This is interesting here. In wrestling, we'd say the guy with the back to the center of the ring is the one who is not stalling, but at the same time, he's not moving forward either.
Well, in the city which invented Motown music, this is a slow dance. And still, Dan Severn and Ken Shamrock circle the octagon. Shamrock lands a punch.
I think he might have caught a finger in the eye, too.
Severn didn't like it. We have never seen a fight this long without some type of engagement.
Thus far, this has been nothing but a total feeling out process or a drawing out process, one of the two. And I think the drawing out isn't working. But that's all part of the game.
When it begins, it will begin. Perhaps in a flurry. Or then they might stalemate with their hands.
Well, I really think what they're doing is not the strength of either combatant. Shamrock may have some boxing talent, may feel he's a better puncher, but he is not the awesome striker that we've seen from some of these people, particularly like a Don Fry. And Severn certainly isn't known for his striking skills. He's competent, but he's definitely not his strength.
We've got two master grapplers slap fighting.
That's basically what I'm looking at.
Masa Fanaki is in Shamrock's corner, the king of Pancrase. Richard Hamilton and Todd Prince, the trainers for Severn. And what must be going through their minds right now?
There's a setting up process here.
And that was a decent counter by Severn. He caught Shamrock underneath the left eye.
And there's a mark there.
There's a good welt there, so Severn scored.
Might just be a cut, too, a small fingernail type cut. They don't have fingernails, but he might have just, you know,
there's a look at
the skin.
The king of
Could have been the
Pancrase.
glove also. He was, Dan has the gloves on.
Right, the open finger glove. This one is a shocker thus far.
Certainly not what we expected. We thought these two would be all over each other, but they both expressed they want to be patient. Certainly they've done that.
Well, after the last fight, which was a barn burner, this is kind of lackluster, anticlimactic.
We thought there would be high octane here in the Motor City, but thus far there's been a lack of fuel.
Well, Shamrock now starting to come out a little bit.
He's getting a little more aggressive with his hands.
You can almost saying, come on, come on. You can almost see him mouthing those words.
9 minutes in, and still no clutching and grabbing. A few punches thrown by Severn, a few more by Shamrock. Blood flowing from the left cheekbone area of Shamrock. Might have been that glove, might have been the shot that Dan threw at him. Are you guys puzzled by this?
I'm very puzzled. We don't have a whole lot to talk about here.
No,
The
nothing has
action's
changed
carrying itself.
since the first 5 seconds.
There's no sense of urgency with still 14 minutes left in regulation.
I'm surprised John McCarthy's not really all over these guys, because if this was a boxing match, the referee would be stopping, talking, doing everything to get the fighters to lock up.
The only guy who ever won a round in boxing without throwing a punch was the legendary Willie Pep. He was so good defensively.
I think John's going to have to break it and have a talk with the fighters. You can't just stare at each other.
And McCarthy is in the face of both guys.
All right, let's go.
Here we go. Let's see if that little pep talk did something.
Well, they can't find the fighters, which means you're not going to make the money you thought. I mean, I hate to think that it would take that to get them to initiate some type of aggressive attack.
Let me ask you this, Don. If this continues through, how would you score this?
I can't give a winner.
A draw, perhaps?
I could possibly come away with that. I could probably say we had two guys who were...
Well, we've had draws without the judges in super fights, but can we have a draw with the judges?
No, we can't. They have to vote one way or another, and we've got 3 judges, and my accounting background tells me that's impossible.
What happens if all 3 say draw?
I don't think they're encouraged to, but it's possible.
I'll tell you, these are 2 of the greatest fighters in the world, but they're not fighting.
Well, I say let's give them a chance. They've entertained us before. Maybe something's in the works here.
Almost 12 minutes in to this highly touted super fight. And it's been more super hype than super fight thus far.
All right, I got to watch what I say, or these guys are going to be wanting to jump on me, but...
And something's been thrown into the octagon. That's not good.
The crowd wants to see some rip roaring, and neither athlete, neither combatant really wants to go in at close range. Not yet, anyway.
Shamrock with a left hand, followed it with a right. A combination.
That's the best action thus far.
Okay, so on the basis of that, I have to give the
I think we
bout to Shamrock. He's landed a couple of shots.
Who would you say is the aggressor? I think I can count on one hand who's taken, or between the 2 of them, how many steps have been taken forward. Most of this has just been circling and pivoting.
Circling and pivoting, yeah. Oh,
there you go.
There you go.
Shamrock.
There you go.
I do believe we're going to see a change of tactic here after 2 successful combinations by Shamrock.
Severn could ill afford to just eat punches.
No, he's down now. I mean, if we're going to take the strikes, Shamrock may have a little blood on his face, but Dan's been hit more.
"13 minutes in. Still no clutching, no engaging by either fighter. Now Shamrock lands a right, and he's starting to find the range. I don't think this is a battle that Severn can win on his feet in terms of punching.
No,
this is the last thing I thought he would do. I really didn't think he would try to make it a boxing match with Ken Shamrock.
Well, especially since Shamrock has done the shoot fighting, and in shoot fighting, you can open hand strike standing up, so he's done this before. He's done this for years.
Ooh, big right hand went over the top, and now Shamrock's moving forward. Shamrock looked as though he was going to go after Severn, but now he's pivoting again.
Both of you 2 have been in combat many times before. Can you outthink? Can you overthink as a fighter and try too hard on a plan and sometimes get yourself wrapped up more in the plan than in the fight?
Potentially that could be it. You create an image in your mind that's hard to break, even though realistically it's not there.
Well, there's an opportunity for Dan to drop down and take one of those legs out from under Ken, but he didn't do it. He just pushed him away and back up. It's like he's dug into his game plan. He can't get out of it.
Severn said in the interview yesterday that he thought it would go the distance, and Shamrock said he thought it would be over quickly.
You know, I don't know if Severn's left-handed either.
He could be switching to southpaw. That's a tactic used in boxing all the time to try to confuse the opponent.
But if you're not a puncher, who are you fooling?
crowd is chanting boring.
Well, you know, I'm going to have to agree with him there, because when there's a lot of strategy that's effectively being applied, it's still exciting just to watch the technique.
Or the chess game.
Right.
Here, I can't figure out the moves, and I certainly don't understand the strategy by either. I know patience is a virtue, but...
And you know you don't want to make a mistake.
That's the bottom line, I think, of fueling Dan Severn.
But I believe as the fight gets longer, you become more cautious. Your time wanes. .8:30 on the clock in regulation.
I mean, if you remember, the addition of judges is a recent thing for the UFC. And so they can't just be sitting back expecting the judges to decide this. I mean, that's...
And there goes Severn in on a leg.
He's got the leg.
Severn working, spinning around on Shamrock. Shamrock breaks away.
I thought Shamrock had him by the head there for a minute.
He was looking for it. And I'll tell you, I think that boasted Shamrock's confidence and may have frustrated Severn. He had an opportunity, it got away.
Let me ask you this, Jeff. Do you remember when crowds would scream when they were on their feet punching and be quiet when they were on the ground? Now they're starting to appreciate the ground fighting.
Oh, without a doubt. They're beginning to understand it more. This telecast helps educate people in terms of fighting skills.
Absolutely. They see the value of the ground fighting now. When they hit that ground, this crowd came alive.
So it was Severn who went in on the leg of Shamrock. Nothing came out of it.
Well, Severn's plan worked. He had the opportunity, but he lost it. Credit Shamrock with good defense, and again, give Severn credit for his aggressiveness. He did take that risk. I said this was too close to call prior to the fight. I think Shamrock might have had the better strikes thus far. There's only been one ground attack, and that was Severn's. So it's so difficult.
And the crowd is starting to chant, "Let's go Red Wings." Well, you can see where their heart is after last night's overtime victory. There goes Severn
There he goes.
again.
He went for the leg. He got the leg. He's got the leg.
Severn in on that left ankle.
Severn's in trouble.
Shamrock grabbed the knee.
Severn's in trouble. Let's see what he's got for a guard here. He turned the wrong way coming out the back door. He should have followed the leg.
I thought he had it there for a minute, Jeff.
He turned the wrong way, and he allowed Shamrock to scoot to the side.
Is that Shamrock in the mount now, Jeff?
Shamrock is in the mount right now, legs outside. Severn hanging on, and Kenny will go ahead and start to try to get some strikes into Severn's head.
A little bit of an elbow, a little bit of a blow with the open hand to the head. Under 6 minutes in regulation. And let's see if Shamrock can start employing some power.
Severn's going to try to arch him off. And you can see from this angle, there it is, Shamrock's got his legs crossed, which means he's got a hold around Severn's hips and thighs, and that's going to be awful difficult for Severn just to brute strength him off.
Elbow by Kenny Shamrock.
I think he watched that last fight, and he saw how effective it was for Don Fry. Those little short elbows.
You see how you collapse. You try to push yourself up on top. If the bottom man turns, you just act like a bag of sand and drop. Don't try to fight the pressure. Just absorb it and maintain your base and your parallelness to the ground, to the mat.
5 minutes to go in regulation. There is 2 3-minute overtimes.
What we say in wrestling is always stay belly down. And that way your hips are underneath you.
Shamrock trying to free that right hand and does. Goes to the belly. Those will hurt. They'll stay with you until the wee hours of the morning.
Next week. Rib shots don't heal quickly.
No, it's the accumulation of blows. What about the grip being employed there by Severn?
Straight out grip trying to keep Shamrock's head down. Shamrock
will be very tough, though. I don't see Dan getting him off in this position here.
I don't think. I think
He's too experienced.
I think the best tactic for Severn might be to try to hope for a stalemate or a non-activity period and get a restart.
So clearly, you know, if Dan was thinking he could get in this position, he's better off doing it with 4 minutes left in regulation than 18 minutes in regulation, because he'll get a restart at the end of regulation time.
Severn on the bottom, wearing the gloves. Shamrock on top.
This is the super fight in UFC 9 in Detroit, Michigan. At Cobo Arena, Ken Shamrock in the mount position. Dan Severn trying to work from the ground, from his back. Now arching the back.
And Shamrock is going to bring that leg forward and sit back. That one connected on the side of Severn's head, the left ear area, that elbow by Shamrock. That's a good way to break your hand. Punching the head, he changed to an open palm strike.
Another open palm strike by Shamrock. They've been going for 21 plus minutes.
Well, he's going to get his opportunity at the first overtime. Severn will. It'll be an opportunity to get back to the feet.
But then he's in a position where he's got to make something happen.
Certainly, he's trailing now, without a doubt.
It took until the 8-minute mark before Severn shot a single leg, was unable to capitalize. And then at the 6-minute mark, Shamrock is able to get Severn down. Shot to the body by Ken Shamrock, another. Right to the ribs.
Keep working, doing good.
Well, I think that's going to do it. I mean, there's enough activity here. McCarthy will not stop it. And point-wise, Shamrock is racking him up.
Shamrock has the physical power to hold anybody under it. A minute 40 to go. Severn makes a quick move. Severn with the reversal.
Oh gosh, I can't believe that.
And a headbutt from Severn, and another. And now it's Shamrock in the guard.
Shamrock is cut. He's got a new cut.
It's on the right eye area. Severn begins to pound away.
This is where Dan Severn wants to be. He wants to be in the mount.
It's a hungry Severn. Look at him exerting the strength and power. A minute to go in regulation.
This is a new fight now.
Whoa.
Severn is catching up.
Whoa, and I tell you what,
Shamrock's getting popped pretty good in the face, and he's bleeding pretty good.
Bleeding really
he's taking
bad.
more punishment.
Boy, Severn hung in there, and he waited, bided his time, made the big risk to get away.
Man.
And it worked. He is starting now to take advantage of being in this top position.
I don't know how he got out of that. He has done more damage in 30 seconds than Ken was able to do in 10 minutes.
Come on.
Final seconds of regulation. A big right hand by Severn to Shamrock's face. Another one. Ken's right eye is very bloody.
He may lose this just on the cut.
Wow. Back to their corners, and I believe it is overtime now.
Turn around. Look at me.
Should be going in overtime unless they stop the clock. I don't think they do.
This is dangerous for Ken. That cut's in a bad spot. Right over the right eye.
So
Boy,
It's a bad break.
You talk about starting off slow. It's finishing up fast.
So it was at the 6-minute mark that Shamrock controlled till the 2-minute mark. And then Severn with the reversal, and he did much more damage in those 2 minutes than Shamrock did in the previous 4.
Shamrock's not phased. You're right. It's going to be a question of the judges' interpretations of the severity of the blows. That's going to what it's really going to come down to here.
First overtime. 3-minute period. Number 1. Now who plays the cautious role?
And who is in the better shape? Both of these warriors, excellent at their skills, physical specimens for their size and age. Heart is now going to be the determining factor.
Heart and possibly that cut.
If that cut is the way it looks like from here, it will open quickly with one punch. You can't stop that punch.
Trouble is, Dan doesn't have a good jab. If he had a jab snapping out there, he could open that up.
Good
but, you know,
point.
he's not much of a striker. He got that cut in there really quick with either an arm or elbow or a punch, but from the outside, he hasn't been real effective with his punches.
Well, I'll tell you, if this fight continues this way, we may have our first very difficult UFC decision. Three judges, Luther Campbell, Steve Neclia, and Robert Ferguson.
And they're back to the strategy again. Shamrock not moving forward, Severn circling and biding his time and picking a moment when he does want to come in. Shamrock the more successful on the feet before that flurry on the ground, which he was able to land a couple of combinations.
Halfway through the first overtime. Shamrock in the red trunks, Severn in the black trunks. And they begin the circling on their feet again.
This is our first overtime. We have 1 minute left in the first overtime.
Not much has happened in this overtime.
I don't know if there's been one punch thrown in this overtime. There's been hands up. I think both these athletes really spent a lot of energy in that last 2-3 minutes when Severn got on top.
Shamrock looked over to his corner.
I think
Some signal from Funaki to tell him what to do or what he should be doing.
He's moving a little bit more forward now. He's not just pivoting. He's actually taking a little bit of a step with that left foot. Now it's back to pivoting.
Final 30 seconds of the first overtime.
Surprised Severn hasn't tried to open up that cut with just even a jab.
That's all he needs to do is slap it, just pop it with a jab. But they just don't want to take a chance, either fighter.
Uppercut by Shamrock.
That's what he tried. It didn't land, though. This overtime coming to a close.
This is a case where both fighters have so much respect for each other that they just don't want to take that chance. See, what Severn should do is he should snap a double jab, triple jab. Just move in, move forward, snap that jab out there.
That is it for the first overtime. That is it for the first overtime. So like the Wings and the Blues last night at adjacent Joe Louis Arena, we go to our second overtime here at the Cobo Arena. And this time it's Shamrock and Severn.
Oh, I don't have any clue how to score this fight.
Get it all!
No idea how.
Final 3 minutes of this super fight. I think if one guy makes a big move here, this is the final round. You can make the impression on the judges. It's like going into a final round of a regular fight, Don, even.
Absolutely. Right now, this is a 3-minute fight. Anything goes. Nobody has totally dominated one way or the other. Either fighter can win it with some aggressive technique right now.
I think Shamrock's got a lot of little punches in there, Severn the bigger ones.
So do you play to win or do you play to try to not to lose?
I say play to win. I don't know about you. I think this crowd, half of them are on their feet. They want to see two guys fight.
Well, Severn's going to have to do something now. It looks as though Shamrock's finding the range now with those slaps. You would think Severn would want to try that one time to knock Shamrock down, and Shamrock is now moving in on Severn.
Jab by Shamrock.
Well, I'd hate to see the ultimate fight, super fight, won with these slaps. I'd like to see it won by grappling techniques or at least a powerful strike.
And this was one that we really look forward to.
It's hard to live up to that Fry Patech fight. That was spectacular.
Well, I think this is also a conflict of styles here. I mean, these guys have adopted this defensive counter-fighting style. Both of them, they won't give it up.
A minute 30 left in this 30-minute fight. And then it'll go to the judges.
Well, they say it comes down to the final minute. This one's going to do the same thing.
And when you deal with warriors with heart, it usually does come down to that.
Don, what do you think's running through their head? Do you think either one thinks they're ahead? Do you think
I
both
think
they're
these
ahead?
guys are both thinking about how they can keep from losing. If Dan's thinking, well, if I shoot down, he might get me in something and I could lose. And obviously, Ken doesn't have enough confidence to believe that he could shoot and take him down.
These guys are not afraid to be injured. That's not their mentality at all.
No, they're great fighters, both these guys. I tip my hat off to both of them. They're great fighters, great tacticians. It just doesn't make for a good show when you get these two determined fighters adopt this style of fight.
And that happens a lot in boxing and in other sports where you get
absolutely.
styles.
Absolutely.
Styles make a fight.
There was a great fight between Wilfredo Benitez and Sugar Ray Leonard, one of the greatest fights of all time. The audience booed like crazy because it was two technicians.
There goes Shamrock trying to shoot in. Severn gets to his feet, tries to land the knee and does not. Along the wall of the octagon with 10 seconds to go.
There isn't enough time for either of them to do much here.
Severn with a knee, and this one will be coming to a close. There's the horn, it's over.
And boy, I'll tell you, this one's too close to call.
It comes down to the
match
judges.
is over.
It comes down to
The match is
Luther
over.
Campbell, Steve Neclia, and Robert Ferguson. 3 judges will score the fight. And I'm as perplexed as you, Dragon.
Well, I just got hit by a cigar butt. So, obviously the audience is not very happy.
So we will wait for the decision from the G-Man, Rich Goins. Things are being thrown into the octagon, which you don't like to see at all.
No, but the fans are honest, you know, they're not going to hide their feelings.
Let's go to the G-Man, Rich Goins, for the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have to go to a judge's decision. First of all, Judge Robert Ferguson scores the fight for Shamrock. Judge Steve Neclia scores the fight for Severn. And finally, Judge Luther Campbell, Big Lou, scores the fight for Severn, the winner.
Dan Severn
The beast,
wins
Dan
the
Severn.
super fight by decision. And there is the mutual respect that Jeff talked about between these two fighters. Severn has achieved what he wanted to. Don, your reaction?
Well, it was too hard to call. I wasn't really scoring it minute by minute, but